We go. What is going on, everyone? Make sure I can hear everyone. Can everyone hear me? Viewers, we got 10 viewers. I am live. Hey, there I am. All right, perfect. How is everyone tonight? Just this. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, Briggs. Let's get over to this. Sorry. Let me take care of all this. Live. All right, there we go. All right, I am sorry about that. Nantucket, good. Nunez, Randy Cox, how are you? Mohammed Gerard, how are you? David, Eric, I know my old pal. Oh, hey, there's Curtis, Daniel, Denzel's here. It's a good day. Randy Cox, how are you? Mama Jen, Rachel Hendricks. Wow, we got a lot of people in here already. Boom, 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 boom. Let me. Strange. All right. How is everyone tonight? For some reason, I keep expecting to hear someone talk back to me. I don't know what's going on. Indiana, Sam, how are you? Fun and Facts. That's a good name for a channel. Give me 1 second. It's not showing me something it's supposed to, so I'm trying to get it fixed real quick. So I'm looking at one screen that won't show me if anyone leaves a super chat or anything like that. I'm trying to remedy that. It doesn't seem to want to work for me. Let's see if I can figure out this way. So, new exciting news. I'm starting a new series Sunday, and I hope you will all watch it. I'm going to show you the first thing for it in a second here. All right, this is going to have to do. All right, so starting Sunday, there's a new series, and I'm going to show you what it looks like right now. I think I just hit the cricket thing too. All right, let's see here. Banners, comments, private chat, Randy. Here it goes. Ready? Let me see if this goes up properly. There it is up in the top corner. Can you see that? So it's a new series called WTF, and then we talk about a situation like this one is what's going on with San Francisco and what's their problem and why are they having so many problems and what's the root of it. And it's going to be kind of like a little documentary like that. And we're going to do several of them. I've got 9 plans so far. We're going to see how the first 3 work out and see if we go on to the rest of the 9. But yeah, that's the new series and it'll start Sunday. Sunday afternoon, around noon. See if I can do this real quick. Ba, ba, ba. Screw it. All right, let me see what's going on here with all my friends. PA in the house. Briggs, what's up? Wick, how are you? Please do Staten Island. That is one I have not done yet is Staten Island. A lot of people have asked me about that. I haven't done that and done Long Island. Haven't done a lot of things with New York. So, yeah, we're going to have to work on that. Baby boomer generation, the baby boomer generation. McMuffin is doing great, Thomas. Thank you. McMuffin, I was just down there a little while ago. She's having a good day. She wasn't feeling good. The heat was really getting to her. If you guys don't know, and this is your first time here, I have a pig. She's like a 200-pound pig. Her name is McMuffin, and she likes to wear hair bows. So she's doing pretty good. She's just been a little bit cranky the last couple days, and the heat's just been getting to her. That's the only problem with it. Hopefully, the heat's getting better, and she'll be better too. All right, there we go. Thanks, Lisa. What do you think about moving to Brownsville, Texas? Is it safe to raise a family? Interesting, boring. So Brownsville is a city that's coming up with what's his name, Elon Musk building his SpaceX there, and then rumor has he's going to build one of his gigafactories. That's going to pour a lot of money into the area. Brownsville isn't the worst place in the world. It's definitely not the best offering Texas has, but I'd raise a family there. Especially, even if you're not working for SpaceX or Tesla or something like that, there's still going to be a lot of opportunity because of those two big companies coming in. So it's are you talking? Oh, Brownsville is in Brook. Okay, so I'm thinking Brownsville in Texas. Are you talking about Brownsville, Brooklyn? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't know. If you're talking about Brownsville, Brooklyn, I don't know. Brownsville, Texas, though, it's a decent place to live. What do you know about Crookville, Tennessee? Crookville, don't know much about it. Yeah, Brownsville, Texas is affordable. Definitely. What do I think about Portland, Oregon? Portland, it's a great town. It's a great city. It's just got a lot of problems right now. Hopefully, we'll get past them. Miles, I'm doing great. What's the difference between a Spanish person and a Latino? Well, a Latino usually comes from Central, South America, or Mexico. A Spanish person comes from Spain. What do I think about New Haven, Connecticut? New Haven, it's not the best thing Connecticut has to offer. They have some really, really nice suburbs and towns that are extremely wealthy and really nice. New Haven's not one of them. I mean, New Haven's, again, not the worst place in the world, but they have better offerings in Connecticut in a big way. I have to choose to live in Alaska or Arkansas. Probably Alaska. South Bend or Fort Wayne by a long shot. Okay, so let me see if that pops up again properly. Boom. So yeah, that's the name of the series. WTF and then whatever, Chicago, San Francisco, whatever we choose to do. And that should be pretty fun. It's pretty interesting. It's not a typical list like we do here all the time, but it's pretty cool. And I don't think any of you guys saw that comment that I was referring to because it is hidden because it has a really poor description of San Francisco. Any good things to say about Toledo, Ohio? So there's a company, and I forget what it was, but I was just reading about it 9 months ago that was getting ready to move in there and bringing like 5,000, 4,000 jobs or something like that to Toledo. And it was like a tech company. I think they were a chip manufacturer, but because of the pandemic, that got put on hold. And I don't know if it's scrapped. Toledo's biggest problem is poverty and jobs. I mean, crime is a result of the poverty and jobs. So maybe if that company still has plans to, Toledo can turn around. Toledo's not that great of a place, but it could be worse. Well, thanks, Randy. Yeah. Sunday, 11 or 12, we'll have that one up. What about towns to flip the script? Revitalization, average person, average income, start needing $1 million. Yeah. That's something we want to start looking at, that towns that are coming up and are still affordable. My opinion now, there's areas you want to avoid at all costs, but there's parts of Baltimore that are worth it because they're doing a revitalization things. Now, I say that with keep in mind they have some really scary neighborhoods and you should know which ones those are before you go there. Mr. Detroit, thank you for supporting the channel. Always helps out. Briggs, what is your sneaky top three picks to live in right now? Crime, quality, retirement, upper middle class, income folks. Okay, so probably three that I've looked at that I think have a lot of potential that I would probably consider moving to. I really like Charleston, South Dakota, South Carolina right now. I think down towards the water, it's really expensive, but they have a lot of suburbs that are decent and they're really nice. Now, a lot of South Carolina is in bad shape, especially when you get to the small towns. Charleston and can't even think of the name of it. Hold on one second. Down, it's in the low country. So, a second. I love this town, and now I can't remember what it is. Top of my head, let me get my map out here. It's Beaufort, not Bluffton. Bluffton. I really like Bluffton. Not too far from Savannah, that whole area right there, but it's in what they call the Low Country in South Carolina, and I think that's a great place. So you got two places in South Carolina, Charleston and Bluffton. I think another one that is kind of sneaking up on people that not a lot of people know about, but that would be Santa Fe, New Mexico. If you want to move to New Mexico, I would choose one of the suburbs of Santa Fe. That's a nice place to live. Beautiful, historic. It's just a desert town. If you don't like deserts, that's not your thing. Understandable. The third one, I forgot. I only gave you two. The third one that I really kind of like right now is can't even think right. I can't even think of what it is. Give me a second. I was just looking at these. Oh, yeah, if you wanna be cold, Duluth is not a bad place to live right now. They got good stats, they've got, not the best stats, it's a city. No city is ever gonna have really good stats, but Duluth, Minnesota, if you don't mind the cold, is not a bad place to live. It's a city, but it's still got that small town vibe to it. But yeah, Doctor Detroit, thank you for supporting the channel. Yeah, that's David, that's how I am too. I'll take the cold any day over hot and humid. I just can't take it. So, Chad, Brownsville has some areas that are decent and they do have some poverty. It's right there on the border. You're going to have some issues, but like I was saying, it's a town that's building up right now. I would say by the end of this year and through 2023 and 2024, you're going to see a big difference in Brownsville. 7-Eleven closing in Los Angeles. I saw they had some shootings there or something like that. It's kind of weird. Are they closing, like leaving Los Angeles? Oh, Pam, you did? Isn't Multnomah Falls amazing? There's some other really good ones around there that I really enjoyed. They're actually starting, there's so many people going waterfall watching in that area that they're going to start a thing where you have to buy a pass because so many people are going there that they're getting traffic jams up on those small river roads and stuff like that. So yeah, you got to get a pass to go see a lot of them here in the future. Yep, fourth highest waterfall in the world. Do you like Henderson, Nevada? Henderson's not that bad. I think I have an ex girlfriend living there. Hate the heat, don't mind the cold. Not too much snow. Yeah, 250,000. Oh, okay. So here we go. Briggs, I hate the heat. I don't mind the cold. Not too much snow. With a budget about 250,000, any suggestions? Well, you got upstate New York. It does get a little too cold and a little too snowy there, along with eastern Pennsylvania. You can find a lot of small towns, even bigger towns, bigger cities like Wilkes-Barre, that you could 250,000 is going to go a long way. Sure, they got some crime. If you're paying $250,000 for a house, you're going to not be in the greatest stats, but eastern Pennsylvania, western New York, and upstate New York, you could find some really good places in that area. Of course, Wisconsin's always a good place to look for a home, and you can find a lot of small towns that 250,000 goes a long way. Eric Killenek, sorry, I screwed that one up. Know anything about San Angelo, Texas? I don't know a bunch about San Angelo. God, it's been years since I've been through there, and I don't think I've really looked up any stats on it in recent years. So let me take a look real quick. Knickerbocker, Wall. Oh, I was just talking about Wall the other day. There's a little tiny town outside, not even town, it's like census designated area, incorporated community, but it's just called Wall. Um, but San Angelo, yeah, it's in a nice place because it's not too far away from Austin and Dallas and stuff like that. Uh, and it's not too close to the border. So, it's kind of nice. It's got its ups and it's got its downs. Most of the people that are going to move someplace, they're going to be looking at Odessa and Midland if they're going to be out that area. But San Angelo is kind of nice. Thank you for supporting the channel. I really appreciate that. Thoughts on Alexandria, Virginia? If you got the money, it is not a bad place to live. Where's she living? Anyway, my niece just moved from Virginia. I think they were in Alexandria for a while, and then they moved to Charlottesville. Anyway, if you got the money to live in that part of the country, yeah, it's nice. I mean, there's a lot of things to do, a lot of things to see. Those are really nice communities in that area. Sure, Washington D.C. is a nightmare in some areas, but most of Northern Virginia is not bad. Allentown, PA. Allentown's not as bad as people think it is. My thoughts on Halloween. I don't know. I really haven't got into Halloween since I was in my 20s. I went out and got candy when I was a kid, and that was great. Halloween was a great thing. Then my 20s, we'd always go to some bar that had like a Halloween night or something like that. That was fun. These days, I don't care. Will the new series replace anything? No, the new series isn't replacing anything. We're getting towards the end of the we're over halfway, no, about halfway through the best rural town series. We started doing the worst rural town series. We're kind of filtering them in together. And this is just going to be added on to it as we get out of the great rural towns. The problem is if I keep doing the same type of videos without anything to mix it up occasionally, I start seeing my viewership go down. And right now, for every YouTuber, the views and the ad money are way down. So got to do things to spice it up a little bit. But David, I really appreciate you supporting the channel. No limit door. How do you know so much about geography? Well, It's kind of what I've studied most of my life, and I've done a lot of traveling. I've been to all 50 states, and I didn't just drive through them. Most of them I've spent some time in bigger cities and small towns. Like I've told people before, when I used to be a stand-up comedian, and when I was in the military, I'd be all over the country. And on the weekends or whenever I had time off, I would drive to small towns and just check them out. So I've been doing this for years. It's been my hobby. Some people like, I don't know, they like collect stamps. I like to go check out small towns and cities. Dirt nap phrase, Hazel. Thanks, Hazel. Someone told me I've mastered um dry humor because I say it with such ease. I don't think I've mastered it. I just think it's part of my personality. Rig, what did the first telephone look like? What did the first one look like? I don't know. I think it was on the wall and you had to hold a little piece like this. I don't know. My first cell phone was a Blackberry, though. Know anything? Oh, I already got that one. Appreciate it. Sam Haley, thank you for supporting the channel. It is always appreciated. 10 cities with the worst mosquitoes. Oh, here's one. I'll tell you right now, Wick. Um, One of the worst states for mosquitoes that most people don't associate mosquitoes with, unless you've been there, you might not know because everyone associates the South with mosquitoes, and that's where they all are. Michigan. Michigan summer is filled with mosquitoes. Minnesota and Wisconsin, kind of the same thing. But Michigan is actually one of the worst when it comes to mosquitoes that I've ever been in. I love Lewis Black too. He's pretty interesting. I love Nick Johnson. Make videos with him. I was just talking to Nick the other day. Should do more collabs with Nick. Yeah, we always talk about. I've been on his show when he talks about Portland before, and do he does this interview thing with people from towns, um, which I'd always thought about doing that, and then Nick started doing it, so I'm not going to do it because that's like stepping on his toes. Which he does a pretty good job. So yeah, but yeah, me and him got to get together and do something. Latoya, thank you very much for supporting the channel. Really appreciate it. I'm number one. No, you're number one. Cheyenne is nice. Florida, terrible mosquitoes. Yeah. The South is going to have mosquitoes. Probably worse than Michigan, but people don't think Michigan's going to have them. You expect them when you go to the South. You go up and you don't know anything about Michigan or that area, you'll be surprised. Nick's a good guy. New York summers are filled with snakes, spiders, and creepy crawlies. Yeah, it is. Live near Portland? Nice. Grand Rapids, so here's the thing about Grand Rapids. Statistically, it's not that bad. The people are decent. Outside of Detroit and Flint, Michigan's got some places that aren't the best, just like any state. Grand Rapids is one that's doing better than most of their bigger cities. Any thoughts on Galveston? I like Galveston. Oh my, never mind. I won't get into that one. I had an amazing week there one time. Um, in my youth when I was like 19, and yeah, I had an amazing week there. But I've been back since then. It's been quite a few years, but I like Galveston. Just found out that I was live video. So glad. Hey, well, go girl, go. Welcome to the party. Okay, let's see. Hey, Briggs, thoughts on cities in the Inland Empire to raise a family? Any of the best places? Well, you know, California's outback, as I like to call that area, when you start getting into Barstow and San Bernardino and Riverside and all that area, they do have some areas that are nice. I myself, it's just a preference, is I would rather be living by the beach. But yeah, they have some areas out near Riverside and San Bernardino that aren't terrible. Rancho Cucamonga is not the worst place. Uh, Crestline, maybe. Running Springs, we used to have some property up there and it almost caught fire during a fire one time. But yeah, I'm not really sure these days about any place in California you want to live. E Beauty, thank you very much for supporting the channel. I really appreciate that. There are bots in the live chat. Which ones? What am I missing? Oh, this one. I got him. Got him. Let me get him out of here. Why they do that? Makes no sense. Sorry, I'm reporting someone right now, guys. Boom, 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 boom. Thanks for letting me know. I see him stroll by and I'm not even paying attention. Briggs, all my exes suck. Can I come to Oregon? No thanks, Denzel. You keep them there. What are my thoughts on Tacoma? Thoughts on tacos? Tacos are amazing, first of all. But my thoughts on Tacoma, I like Tacoma. I'd rather visit Seattle, obviously. It's going to be a little more exciting, but Tacoma's kind of nice. Thoughts on Wyoming? It's nice if you're into that. I mean, it's sparsely populated. Even their big cities don't have a lot of people in it. What do I think about Washington? So there's one, Dawn, that I've always looked at, and me and my wife have talked about moving up there and buying a house. But Point Roberts, which is a little peninsula that you have to, if you're going to drive to Point Roberts, you have to leave um, the U.S., go into Canada, and work your way back over. Um, it's pretty interesting. But as far as towns in Washington that are near the border, they've got a few of them. I mean, Bellingham's up that area. That's pretty cool. Blaine is right there, which if you're going to go to Point Roberts, you got to go into Blaine, White Rock, almost go up to Surrey and Vancouver, the area, and come back down to Point Roberts. You think behind the spam bots? What do I think is behind the spam bots? People that want you to click on links um, that will basically steal your money. So this is what they said: naked HD XYZ futures here, dating all match 84%. If you read something like that and you honestly think that there's anything for you by clicking that, it's ridiculous. I don't know why they do it, and I can't believe, well, if they're doing things like that and putting things up like that, people are clicking those things. My question is, how dumb do you have to be to click something like that? Favorite island, Hawaii, Maui. My neighbor to the north. I had a friend that used to always say, if you're stupid enough to fall for something like that, you deserve to lose every dime you have. Mr. James, how are you? Will Robinson, how are you? Do I still like it in Oregon? Love it in Oregon. Maui, environmental allergy collab with Geography King. Every time I do a video these days, someone brings up the Geography King. I don't think I've watched one of his videos. I don't know if we'd fit. My nose is itching for some reason. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I have to scratch my nose. That's kind of gross, but sorry. By the way, these Vicks puffs are amazing. Flu and cold season, they're the best thing, and they're hard to come by. Rose City, Texas. I've been to Port Orchard before, yes. Thoughts on Roanoke, Virginia? Roanoke's nice. It's a really nice place. It's really hard to find places in Virginia that are a nightmare. Thoughts on clams? I don't like clams. Mm. Them and oysters. Thoughts on Illinois? No, Illinois is definitely not a lost cause. Most of Illinois is decent. You just got Chicago's south side, and a couple of the places on the west side, but Illinois is not that bad of a state. It's here's the bummer about the news that we consume. Illinois so Chicago does have a murder problem, okay? So they have more murders usually than just about any other city in the United States, and most of it happens on the south side. Well, they have murders in every state, every city, all that. The problem is they have more, but they also have like 4 times more people than the next on that list. So if you just go by the sheer amount, yes, but if you go by the, per capita, they're, like, ranked number 25th in the nation. So and that gives the whole state a bad name. I mean, Springfield has its issues, Peoria is not the greatest place, Champaign, Cham can't even speak tonight, but a lot of Illinois and even most of Chicago, really nice places to live. And what happens is, in my opinion, I think, you know, years ago when President Obama came out of Chicago and Illinois and all that, that was the new punching bag because it goes both ways. I'm not saying one political party does it more than the other one. I'm just talking about this situation. They have to find something to tell you how bad that person is, or anything negative they could attach to that person. They do it to every single politician. The opposition does this. So he comes out of there, and that's what they signaled on, and that's what they fed us from like 2010 through 2016. That is the absolute worst place in the world because everyone's getting killed. Their murder rate is horrible, and it's horrible people get murdered in that city, but it's not the worst in the country. Derek Ray, thank you very much. Hey, Briggs, always great to see you. Would you consider doing an episode of What's Up with Salt Lake City? We have that one researched already. I just never recorded it. People weren't into that one as much as I thought they would be. So we kind of backed off them, backed off doing them. But I have like 5 that are researched. They're just not recorded. And Salt Lake City is one of them. Eventually we'll get to it. Race Fast 64. Thank you for supporting the channel. Really appreciate it. Thoughts on South Philadelphia? I mean, it's South Philly. Yeah, Chicago, just like every major city that people, like, it's expensive. New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco is way too expensive. And whenever you have a city and whenever it's popular, that brings in a lot of people that a lot of times end up on the street. So you have homeless and you have crime and all that other stuff. That happens in every freaking city on the planet. Population density gives you crime, gives you murder. It's just how humans are. But I love Chicago. I go there as often as I can. Dancing rentals. Okay, question. Not asking for predictions. Can you draw our attention to changes taking place, like Wi-Fi in small towns? Oh, I could tell you all about that right now. Starlink, Aloha, Starlink from Elon Musk and Tesla or whatever, SpaceX, is doing great things. There's a lot of places in the country that now have internet that they didn't have before. Part of the infrastructure bill also was to get Wi-Fi out to the country, or not Wi-Fi, but just high-speed internet further out into the country. And a lot of these cable companies and stuff are being forced now. They get money and they get paid for it, but now they actually have to get out there and put in more fiber, more cable, so people can get decent internet. Uh, Internet is just going to get faster and faster no matter where you are in this country. You got to be living in a cave to not get internet, I'd say, within the next 5 years. But yeah, small towns. I was doing that when I was doing the great small towns, and I realized that most of the decent places have internet. And if they didn't have decent internet, there was usually a reason, like 60 people live there or something, that it just hasn't made out there. But Starlink does a lot of good things. Hey, how's it going? Hope you're doing good. Kyle, I was just watching one of your videos today. I forget which one. I'm doing a video about Nevada for tomorrow, and I was looking at them, and I came across one of your videos. I watched it for a while. I forget which one. Good to see you, buddy. Veterans, best experience in any state and why? Good question. Solid question. Well, um, so so there's a great story. There's actually 2 stories like this in Galveston. We are just talking about Galveston. Galveston is one of them, and the reason I had such a good time, it had to do with a girl, who I thought was amazing. Uh, Then she got married, um, because I was in the military and she wanted a college guy. It's always nice. So there was a girl I knew that was I met her when I was in Georgia in the army, and we had a great time in Atlanta. Great time. And then a couple weeks later, I was gonna go down and meet her family and all that. They lived in Florida. They had like a ranch and da 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 da. And so I'm driving down there. This is before cell phones, and I made a wrong turn, and I ended up in this little like God, what was it called? It's one of their little. Give me a second. I'm gonna get it. It's one of their not keys. Oh my god, I'm losing my mind at this age. Oh no, no, it's Key Cedar Key. So I ended up going towards Cedar Key. I found a um, payphone and I called her and I'm all, hey, I made a wrong turn. Da 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 da. Where do I go from here? And she's all, you know what? Don't even bother coming here. My parents are being dicks. I'll meet you in Cedar Key. And we went there and we spent like a week in this little key in Florida. Not even a week, probably 4 days. And it was great. It was great for me because we quit talking soon after that. And I think she was just kind of done with me. I don't know what it was. That was a great week or great 4 days. My granddaughter just told me she needs some huggins. Um, hold on, I have to do something real quick. Guys, give me 1 minute. So sorry about that. I have a 5-year-old downstairs who hadn't been feeling good today, so she asked if she could get some hugs. I'm a sucker. Stop. Hey, Google, stop. And I ran up the stairs. Now I'm breathing heavy. We got 240 people here, and only 144 have hit the like button. So please do. The world according to the world according to granddaughter of Briggs would be her looking at Amazon things I should buy her. I'm a sucker. Hey, Belle, how are you? Thoughts on West Philadelphia? It's West Philadelphia. You know, I like Philly. They got some parts that are pretty scary, but in reality, without looking at the stats, I don't know much about. I mean, I know about Philly. It's just I don't know what parts are bad or what parts are good right now. I haven't even looked at them in probably 2 years. Chemtrails on the West Coast. I have been to Beckley, West Virginia, oddly enough. So there's a few places in West Virginia that are kind of strange, and Beckley's one of them. Not Huntington, Buckhannon, West Virginia. I was there for some reason one time, and I ended up staying there. for about 6 hours. I didn't want to, but I ended up staying there for 6 hours. Vancouver, Washington. Here, yeah, here in hey Google, show me the front door. Um, here in Port here in Portland, we call Vancouver, Washington, Vantucky because they're a little bit of hillbilly-ish. Thoughts on relocating to Alaska and homestaying, living on the land? Hey, if that's your thing, you do it. Especially Radizzle, homesteading now, like we were just talking about how that satellite internet from Starlink so good. A lot of people will start doing that more often now that they could stay connected and work out in the freaking woods. I know one lady, I watch her thing. She lives in a camper and she has a Starlink thing, and she just goes to campgrounds. Like I think this week she's in Lake Tahoe. Stays there for a couple days, does graphic art work on her computer in her trailer with her Starlink thing. Then if she feels like going to Arizona, she drives to Arizona. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. I wish I could pronounce that name. It looks beautiful. Yaharia I wish I could pronounce your name. I'm sorry. Thank you for supporting the channel. Best place for newcomers to the United States? Well, it depends on what you're doing. Depends on what you do for a living. I'd stay out of LA. I've stayed out of San Francisco. New York City's probably a little too crowded too. I would look towards places like Minnesota, Wisconsin, the middle of America, Iowa, Kansas, Nebraska, places like that. Any places to live without a car besides major cities? Well, beach communities usually are very good for people without a car. Very nice place. Heathman Lodge. I don't know that one. Vancouver Island, Canada. I was just there April. Catching plane to New Zealand. Thoughts on Rhode Island? Oddly enough, I've gotten really good pizza there. It's strange. You'd expect it to be Waynesboro. Um, yeah, I really like. I like Rhode Island. I haven't been there enough, but I like it. I've been to all of New England. How would I rank them? Livability, growth, overall. So Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. If you could afford those places, because they do get a little pricey, those are three of the best states to live in the country. Low crime, beautiful scenery, great people. They don't have a lot of jobs in a lot of situations. Um, but if you could work remotely and you make a good enough living, that's probably a great place to live. Connecticut's the weirdest state in the country. I mean, you have some of the wealthiest suburbs and towns in the country. Some of the richest people in the world live in Connecticut. And at the same time, you have Hartford and some other places like that that you're like, how does this exist here in such a nice state? Rhode Island, we just talked about Rhode Island. It's neat. It's kind of nice. Um, yeah, I really like New England. If I had to live in any of the three, it would go in this rank. It would go Vermont, Maine, New Hampshire. Massachusetts. I love Boston to go visit, but I wouldn't want to live there. Thank you for supporting the channel too, James G. Hey, King Seahawk, how are you? Oh, just tuned in. So I'm starting a series. I'm going to put it back up there for us. Give me 1 second. Put it up in the corner here. Oh, there it is. Can you guys see that? Yeah. Oh, it's there. Okay. That's it up in the corner. WTF. And then we talk about a city's problem. Like San Francisco is going to be our first one on Sunday, and it's going to be broken down into the most basic terms. I'm not going to get all into the hardcore stats and overcomplicate a subject that is very complicated, but it could be explained sort of easily. And it's what the hell going on with San Francisco? Why is it a nightmare right now? Why is it considered a failed city? Now, we have other ones we're going to talk about, like we talked about Chicago and all that, and I'm going to explain that one. Um, but we've got 9 of them we're planning on doing. We're going to do 3, see if they work, and then we'll record the other ones. Well, when was that? March. I took the Amtrak. That was kind of cool. So DC, I didn't do any videos because I so I did a couple, but I had planned on going there right as the pandemic hit, and I kind of had all these plans for these different videos, and I've kind of put them on hold until I have a chance to go there. Now that we're coming out of the pandemic, I probably could, but I have other obligations and other trips I'm planning. So eventually, in early 2023, I will be, or maybe even later this year, but I will be in DC, and I'll do some videos about it then. Prescott, Arizona. I like it. It's up there in the hills. It's not that bad. It's one of the nicer places to live, in my opinion, in Arizona. Briggs from Sebastian, Florida. Love your channel. How do you collect drone footage? Use my videos. So I have like 4 different drones that I have 2 right now because I've lost a couple of them. And then I have friends with drones that live in different parts of the country. And one of them is actually a truck driver. And whenever he gets some good footage, he sends it to me. Um, but when I did most of my traveling before this channel, I didn't have a drone. So there are different ways I get it. But usually it's stuff I had or stuff my friends give me. How do you feel about Virginia Beach? Is a great place. I love Virginia Beach. It's been a few years since I've been there, but I like it. Tucson, Phoenix, or Phoenix, Arizona. It's not how you spell Phoenix, Arizona, but I like Tucson. Phoenix a little too crowded for me. Thoughts on the Ozarks? I love the Ozarks. James G, thank you. Would you live in Boston or DC if you had to? I'd live in Boston before DC. It's a little too expensive. I don't like to live in some place that's. I mean, if it's painfully expensive and I have to be there for a job, I don't mind living anywhere. But Boston's just a little too expensive. I'd rather live in the cities that are about a half hour away, probably, or the towns. And then if I need to go to Boston, I go to Boston. But living in a big city like that, it's never been my thing. I like to live on the outskirts of metro areas, and Boston's one of those. I'd love to go visit. I'd love to hang out there, and I'd love to get some beer there, but I would not want to stay there. It's okay catching planes. You should see mine. Oh my god. I just because I want to make sure some of the simplest words I have to spell check all the time. Because like when I'm doing thumbnails on my thing, there's no spell check on that. So if I misspell something, I look like an idiot. So before any word other than like is, the, for, use, anything beyond that, I make sure I spell check it, even if I'm sure. Briggs would be awesome as a comic book hero. I'd love to be a comic book hero. I used to play a video game called City of Heroes. Oh my god, it was great. I love that game. Best of fears. What would be my superhero? What would my superhero power be? Hey Briggs, why didn't any small towns, north, central, northeast Minnesota, make your list best rural towns? I don't know. We just went by stats that we found and ones that were decent. If they didn't make the list, they probably were too far away from healthcare. They had internet issues, or they had some crime issues. Those are things that usually kick a lot of them out. Why did not move to Seattle suburbs? Texas. I just fell in love with Portland, and I had some friends here when I first moved here. It was going to be here or Colorado. Washington really wasn't on our radar when we moved, but it was in Colorado or Portland because we had friends and some family in the area. And yeah, that's just why we decided Portland. I love Portland. I mean, yeah, it does have its homeless and it's got its other issues, just like any big city. There's a little worse than most cities right now, which are they're getting better, the homeless situation. But yeah, I just love Portland. Always have. Portland's a great city for beer. Food's okay. I like the beer. What are the crime issues for? Oh, I don't even know. Denzel. Asheville, North Carolina is my current hometown. Love film school here. Oh, I did not know they had a film school in Asheville. If I was a digital nomad, I would choose North Carolina long before I'd choose Florida. Portland is a very walkable city. These days, with all the homeless, you got to watch where you're going to walk, but it's a very walkable city. If you stay north of Burnside, it's not that bad. It really isn't. Once you get south of, or I'm sorry, if you stay south of Burnside, which is actually going up a hill, um, it's not that bad. Once you get down north of Burnside, it's pretty bad. Actually, it's weird. So if you get to Burnside, which is where the Voodoo Donuts is, if you start heading north, you start seeing fewer and fewer homeless. It gets cleaner and cleaner. When you get past Pioneer Square, it gets a lot better as you get up towards the college. Gallion, Ohio. I've never even heard of that one. Gallion, Ohio. Can you please tell me about Cleveland, Ohio? What do you want to know? Cleveland, Ohio has some horrible places to live. It's got some okay places to live. The best part about Cleveland right now is it is affordable. I mean, cost of living in real estate is very low. If you've ever dreamed about buying a house, Cleveland might be a good option. Um, they're cleaning it up and it's going to have a turnaround here within the next 5 years, I'd say. Not that it's going to be an amazing city, but it's going to be better shape than it is currently. If you buy a house now, you'll probably be quite happy with your investment 5, 6, 7 years from now. Thoughts on communism? I don't think I've ever really thought about communism unless I'm reading something about World War II or something, or the Cold War. Could you do a video on places to live with 4 seasons? That is something that's been brought up before. We've had a few people bring that up. Some place that has all 4 seasons. Maybe we will. I am a history buff, big time history buff. World War II, though, mainly is my. I almost said World War II is my jam. Apparently, I'm a 1990s urban kid. Best football team? Cleveland Browns. Absolutely. Adventure is uncertain. Ooh, that could be a good name for a channel. Adventures in Adventures in Uncertainty. I almost named this channel Consistently Inconsistent when I was just going to be doing gaming, but I don't know, why I thought that was a good idea. Hello, I am the king. I am from the Kingdom of Jordan. I watched many of your videos, which let me learn a lot about every state in America. For that, I didn't know. Well, welcome to our channel. I really enjoyed. I watched a Discovery thing on the King of Jordan, the old one, not the current one. They have his dad, and very impressive man. Edward Elric. Was it ethically moral for us to nuke Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Well, that's a question for Harry S. Truman. He's dead. My opinion, what I know about it is, yeah, what's your favorite punk band? Oh, my favorite punk band? Well, X. I used to really like Black Flag, Sex Pistols growing up. The Descendants were pretty cool, but I was a big Black Flag guy. Not huge. I really got into like the Clash and bands like that mostly, but I liked some Black Flag back then. Austin D, what's my favorite punk rock band? Got that one. Did I miss one up here? Dude, Downsize Mood. Have a great day. Downside of moving to, first of all, let's find out what that is. I'm not even sure what that is. Oh, the Kentucky. Okay. One Kentucky. I thought you were talking. There's a town in Malaysia that has a name that's spelt similar. I can't remember what it is. I don't know about this place, but oh, that one's right by Land Between the Lakes. That I love that. It looks so cool on the map. I don't know much about it. Ledbetter, I know a guy that grew up around there, but I don't know much about that part of Kentucky. You ever notice I don't do many videos about Kentucky? I've spent very little time in Kentucky. I've been there. I've been to Louisville and Lexington. Um, been through Owensboro and Elizabethtown, but it was a driving trip where we just spend a half a day in a place and then be on our way. Actually, on that trip, we start off in Pittsburgh and then worked our way down to Columbus, Cincinnati, Louisville, went over to Lexington, came down to Elizabethtown, Owensville, made our way up to St. Louis, and turned in the rent a car and got a flight home to Los Angeles. But yeah, my experience in Kentucky is probably that, and that's probably the least visited state that I've been to. Now there's something. So ethnic. What's my favorite punk band? So back to the thing. Hello from Salt Lake City. Thank you for supporting the channel, Florida Jake, and everyone else so far. What I was going to tell. This guy's back again. Give me a second. All right. So, should we have dropped a bomb on Hiroshima? This kind of gets away from our wheelhouse here in this channel, but I'm going to tell you what I think. Um, Japan at the time was not following, war is war and it's a horrible thing, but there are still rules and regulations, the Geneva Convention, all that. Japan was not following any of them. They were beheading officers in front of their men. They were just doing some horrific things. Now, I'm not saying that the United States was wearing just white uniforms like, some kind of hero. They weren't. But Japan was way over the top. And they were doing horrible things and they were not giving up. They were a defeated country at the time and they just wouldn't stop. If they didn't stop them, they would have been left on Japan, spent a couple months rebuilding and start attacking again. That was the what everyone thought. So what Truman went through is basically they're not following the rules of war. They were mistreating POWs, everything else like that. If they're not going to follow the rules of war, we're not going to either. So he dropped the bomb. So ethnically speaking, yeah, it's not a good idea, but you never want to do that to a city. I mean, it's horrible, but it had to be done. I mean, in my opinion, I think World War II Japan, the Empire of Japan at the time, kind of put themselves in that situation. Race fan 64, thank you for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. North Carolina instead of Florida as a digital nomad. Absolutely. Why are these bots messing with you? I started talking trash about them. Now they're using all four of them or 10 of them they have, and I just got to keep blocking them. No big deal. Texas or Colorado? I'd choose Colorado over Texas. I think Texas, I brought this up before, is in the middle of being a victim of their own success. They are a very popular state for the last decade or so for people to move. I mean, low on the taxes. They're doing great with salaries. Cost of living was low compared to other desirable states. Housing was low also. But, you know, I think now it's kind of played itself out and it's not as good as it was before. It's still better than most states. It's just not as good as it was before. And I think it'll just keep getting worse. That's my opinion. Hopefully not. Texas is a great state. What do I know about the Battle of Wake Island? Do you mean the Alamo of the Pacific? Was that or was that the other one? Anyway, Wake Island was Wake Island. Briggs, how about your stat? Oh, that's why people keep saying this. So this is a joke shirt from my wife. I always tell her about my stats because nobody else is there for to talk to about. I don't, discuss my income or anything with other people. So I always tell my wife about it. And well, hey, let me tell you about my stats. So I said that I say that all the time. One day as a joke, she said, "Did I ask you about your stats?" And I said, "No." And so I got this for Christmas. Asked me about my stats. Yeah, they did attack us first. Japan did attack us first in Hawaii, and at the same time, they actually attacked Guam and a few other places that were American territories. People always forget that, but that's part of war. It's what made us decide to take the next step was how they didn't follow. They were doing horrible things to POWs, and they were just doing torture and horrible things to civilians. They were not doing things right. Best place in Mississippi to live? You know, Mississippi has some nice country towns. They get a little backwoods really quick, though. If I was gonna live any place, it would be down towards, Gulfport, Biloxi, something like that. We're doing pretty good. Well, we've got 276 watching. We've had some dropped off. If you haven't hit that like button, guys, please hit that. No, I meant why would you choose North Carolina instead? Why would I choose North Carolina instead of Florida? Um, the atmosphere's better. Charlotte, Asheville, and even out towards the Outer Banks and some of those towns, it's a lot better than what's going on in Florida, in my opinion, especially work wise. The triangle there, Winston Salem, and all that area, that's got tons of tech jobs, tons of healthcare. Florida's got some places, but I mean, they also got a lot of cities you really don't want to be visiting. Jacksonville right now is like the murder capital of the world, I heard, or the crime capital. I don't know if it's a murder capital. Best place to live in Louisiana? Yeah, that's a good question. Kyle H, I don't even think about stuff like that. I mean, honestly, do I support enhanced interrogation against Al Qaeda? I don't know. Cheapest town near Seattle. Well, they've got some out in that area that I don't know. It's like, okay, if you start looking out towards Yakima, that's a little far out. Let's look a little closer. Most of them are pretty expensive. North Bend isn't that bad. Issaquah isn't that bad. It's right outside of Seattle. It's still expensive. The Seattle metro area is pretty expensive no matter what. Puyallup is kind of decent. Tacoma isn't bad. Olympia isn't terrible. This is comparing them to Seattle. Seattle's very expensive, and those ones are doable, I guess you could say. Oh, Fayetteville, I'd never go there again. I was at Fort Bragg for a while. Fayetteville's horrible. Spokane, how is it? How are things out in Spokane? In my opinion, the most interesting war to learn about probably going to be the Civil War or World War II. World War II before Civil War. Korean War, I've just gotten into really researching, reading about a lot of it, so I'm kind of foggy on that. And it really wasn't anything compared to the Civil War, World War One, or World War II. Vietnam, for that matter, it's pretty low on there, but it's still an interesting part of American military history. Cary, North Carolina. Cary's not horrible. I don't know a bunch of it offhand, but it's not terrible. Are winters really bad in Seattle? They can be. I mean, you can have very cold ones. Most of the time, it's very cold rain up there, but they do get some snow. LA to Beaverton, Oregon. Any advice on wanting to move from LA to Beaverton, Oregon? Well, I did this 12 years ago. And, you know, Aloha, if you're from LA, I grew up in the South Bay. Aloha is like a county area outside of Beaverton. It's going to be a little bit cheaper, but it's like living in, they say it's like living in Gardena, my other friends, but it's not that bad. Um, Beaverton's a lot like Torrance, and Aloha is a lot like Gardena, a little bit safer, maybe Carson. But they got some nice areas. I mean, Cedar Hill's a little expensive, but Beaverton's nice all around. Thoughts on reading Pennsylvania? It's not the best place. It's not where I would choose to move to if I was moving to Pennsylvania. Best fordable river town. Ooh, good question. Yeah, Florida had a rough patch there in the 80s with all the drugs and all that stuff, but they got a little better in the 90s and early 2000s. And I just think Florida's going downhill right now, my opinion. What's the next state on the list? Tomorrow you will see worst rural towns in Nevada. I was going to do New Mexico, but that was harder than I thought. I gotta actually raise the bar a little bit on that one to get some more towns in there because I could find three that really fit the video. I mean, so I went with Nevada, which was already made, and that's only five. Company Fork Rango, thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Yay, I live in Reno, and I'm so are you over it? I keep meaning to go back up there soon. I like Reno. Truckee, that whole area up there, it's a beautiful part of Nevada and California. Kaiser, Oregon, Kaiser's not bad. It it's kind of like Beaverton, just a little less. It's not bad. Yeah, I visited Louisiana many times. Been to New Orleans, Bourbon Street, a couple other places there. Best states for a veteran? It's probably gonna be Texas, especially the San Jose area or San Antonio area. Sorry, I've been to Mexico City. It's been a lot of years, but I've been there. I visited every state. Everyone comes in movie. Texas or Florida. Running to Texas, Florida. Texas, Florida people are heading there, but I just don't. A lot of people are leaving Florida too right now. What is the Memphis stank? So I always refer to that when you live too close to us. If you're in a suburb that's too close to a really bad city, it kind of brings down the suburb with the city. And that's why I say you're far enough away not to get that stank on you. Yes, Florida is gaining population massively. They do have more people moving in there, but like California has been doing the last few years, they got a lot of longtime residents leaving. That's the thing. Now they're still gaining. I'm not saying they're not, but we'll see how that works out. Where have I been to Alaska? So I've been to Juneau, been to Fort Richards, which is way up there. I've been to the Kenai Peninsula at Soldotna, fished there for like a week. That was great. And I've been to Anchorage, Skagway, Icy Strait Point on Hunan or whatever it is, and Sitka. Best small town in Missouri. Um, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but we have that one researched. I haven't recorded it yet. I've not been to all the Canadian provinces. Give me your getting out of there, huh? Yeah, you're gonna have to wait for that video to come out. I don't know which ones the best ones are offhand. Best small town in Pennsylvania. So you got a couple that I think are really great, and Honesdale is one of my favorite small towns in the United States. It has all the right things. I mean, they got a big hospital there. They got great internet, great people, beautiful downtown, and land is very affordable, especially when you consider what you're getting. Um, so I love Honesdale, but Jim Thorpe's really nice. There's a few other ones I can't think of offhand. Thoughts on selling California to China? United States would never do that. California makes too much money for the US economy. I think actually I think if you take I might screw this one up, but it's like if you take Texas out of the equation, it would take at a minimum 4 other states combined to equal what California gives to the US economy. Greetings from Bend. I got to go down to Bend soon. I keep hearing that their homeless situation's getting worse, while Portland's is getting a little bit better. Hershey, Pennsylvania. Oh my god, I love driving through that place. I've not visited Portugal. Ketchikan. Been to Ketchikan too. Off a cruise ship though, so only there for a couple hours. West Coast, Oregon or Washington. I like Oregon. Washington, they're very similar, but I just think Oregon's coast is a little more beautiful. Sure, it's not great to lay out in a bikini or shorts or anything like that, but it's still beautiful. Greg Bartle Bailey, good to see you too. Thoughts on Allentown, PA? It's okay. I mean, it's not the best, but it's not terrible. Denzel, good night. Appreciate everything. Dude. 2 thumbs up. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Have a good night. So, um, Pool Player 21, it's not just a blue state thing. It's a red state thing too. There's homeless everywhere, and it has to do with a lot of other things, not just who's making decisions. And if you think that you're kind of fooling yourself. I was in Dallas, and I was in San Antonio. There was homeless everywhere. How did your family end up in the South Bay? Interesting story, Adam. So my great grandfather worked in the steel industry in Ireland and just different areas around Europe. And then at one point, I guess he was sold. He had a contract, and they sold him to U.S. Steel, which was in Torrance, California, at the time. So he moved out there. Then eventually brought my grandmother, and at the time she had 4 kids, and she was pregnant, and brought them over. Or actually, yeah, I got it right. So my great grandmother, so brought them over. This is my great grandparents, not my grandparents. So brought them over, and she was pregnant with my grandmother. They settled in Torrance, California, and just went on from there. Torrance and Redondo, those are kind of interchangeable. Yeah, really, homeless shouldn't be a thing in the United States, but it happens. Spokane isn't great, but it's not terribly. Love to visit Ireland. Love to visit Norway because originally the family came from there, and they went to Ireland because they had problems with the government of Norway. Homes under 100,000. Those are getting harder and harder to come by. I think Rebecca, I think Lancaster, can't even speak right now, but I think that's a beautiful city. It's got some problems, but I think it's beautiful. Historic. Oh, catching planes. Thoughts on which state is the best state for independent voters? Any state is. I mean, I don't think any state's good for any sure, some states lean one way, whatever, but you vote however you want. Pullman, Washington. I don't have many thoughts on Pullman, Washington. Where we discussed Taylor the Inland Empire. The Inland Empire has, some decent places to live, but there's far better places in the United States or in California to move to. Yeah, my dad's side of the family is from Mississippi. My biological father. So I have a biological father, and I have the father that raised me. My biological father, who I spent a lot of time in Mississippi going to visit as I was a teenager and stuff like that. His family's from outside of Meridian, Mississippi, which is Chunky, Mississippi, on the Chunky River. They all own property around there. My father that raised me, he is from New York. Met my mom when he got out of the Navy. They dropped him off in California, and he met my mom. I was only 2 at that time. So, but my mom's side of the family came from Ireland to Torrance. So, just so you know, pool players, what you just said is completely false. Okay, they did not pass legislation that decriminalize those things. That is a myth that's been floating around. What they did was they quit basically putting people away for many years when they just had personal use drugs, stuff like that. So yeah, that's a thing that's been floating around. I've read about that. What's your favorite Dirty Harry movie? Sudden Impact. Great question. What's your progressive rising? Good evening, Briggs. Thinking of relocating to Hood River, Oregon. What do you think about that area? That is a beautiful area. Hood River is a nice little town. It's a little more expensive than you'd expect for a place that far out in the sticks, but it is a really nice place to live, so you're paying for what you got. Jim Thorpe is expensive, yes. Don't forget to hit that like button, guys. One of the main places for so yeah, they got a divorce when I was 2 or before I was 2. Actually, yeah. I'm trying to go to Portland, Maine and eat some lobster. Any advice? Yes, do it. Bring some money. Sometimes it gets expensive. I love good lobster. I've been watching your channel for some time now. It's cool to finally see you in a stream. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Cumulus Gaming. Fun fact, I live in your same state. Oh, nice. I love California. You have a lot more money. Yeah, you do. You need to, California has its problems. But California has a lot of entertainment, beautiful coastlines, beautiful land in general. You get outside the cities in California, and it's an amazing state. The cities, the big cities, have some problems. San Francisco, San Jose, Los Angeles, but you go Santa Barbara, San Diego, they're really nice places. It's very expensive. Portland, Oregon, and Portland, Maine. I'd take Portland, Oregon, I think. There's times I think Portland, Maine might be a little bit better. I'd probably take Maine over Oregon, but when you're comparing the Portlands, I think Portland, Oregon's a little bit better, a little more exciting. Now, of course, we have the serious homeless problem, but aloha from New Jersey. Hello, New Jersey. Thanks for hitting it, Robert. Best state for camping. California, I think, honestly. Colorado's probably just about as good. Probably Washington, Oregon, Colorado, California. Georgia and I'd go with, yeah, it's toss up, but I think North Carolina's a little better. Super private. Can I ask you why you keep living in Oregon since most of your videos bad, crowded, expensive? Because I love the state. So every state has its problems. And what I do in my videos is I highlight either the good, if that's the theme, I highlight the good things. I highlight the bad things for a negative video. Oregon has some wonderful things. If you just watch a negative video I did about Oregon, yeah, it seems like a horrible, but everything's got a balance. There's a yin and a yang. There's a positive, there's a negative, there's a pro, there's a con to every single place. My opinion, Portland is one of the best cities in the country. Now, 12 years ago when I got here, it was a lot better. And it will get back to its thing. And matter of fact, they're in the middle of cleaning it up right now. But I would say the last 5 years, it has sucked really bad. That doesn't mean I throw in the towel and just move out of a city I love. And I'm out in the suburbs. I'm not even in the city itself. But yeah, every place has its good, its bad. I mean, even if you go to Mississippi, I mean, there's that state sucks in a lot of different ways, but they also have some incredibly intelligent people and wonderful landscapes. So that's a Pool Players 21. That's I've been thinking about on my other channel because I do a podcast. And it's usually I tell stories about people I've met while I've been traveling. It's something I've always wanted to do more of, but I never get around to it. But I've been thinking about actually videoing when I'm doing a podcast, like a lot of people are doing these days, and putting it up on the vlogging channel. I don't know how that'll work, but it's a thought I've been having. Washington, Oregon, I'd choose Oregon first. Well, thanks, Holly. The retirement videos are good. They get a lot of views, and what's really funny is so depending on the subject, um, you're going to get different people running ads on your videos, and we have this thing called CPM. How much do you make per per thousand clicks? And those ones always have a higher rate. Whenever I do a retirement one, I like Tillamook. Tillamook's nice. Maine or Tennessee? I do Maine. So you okay, so again, pool player 21, you do understand that Antifa may have had some issues here and they may have started here. I don't know what the story is with that. But it's not like there's wandering bands of Antifa and a fort built in the middle of Portland with Antifa. Antifa has it's doing its thing just like the Proud Boys and all those other things. The Proud Boys come from, I don't know, let's say it's Tennessee. Do do you think that they're just in a park with a little camp of that? No, it's not like that. But if you watch certain news channels, depending on which one you watch, they're going to make it seem like that. You got to look through all that stuff and quit clicking on to those, in your head what's happening is you're clicking those things they want you to those catchphrase? No, the talking point. So if you're watching one station, they're going to say Antifa's all over Portland. Antifa's all over Portland. You begin to think that it's just run by Antifa. No, it's not. Is Mississippi run by the Ku Klux Klan? No, it's not like that. But if you keep watching it, that's if you keep watching certain channels or getting on certain websites, that's what they're going to make you think. Now, it's good that you have your own thoughts on things and do it. Just read between the lines on those things. That's with every newscast. That's with every political point of view. Read through the lines. They're trying to sell you something, and it's a point of view. Because you don't. No, I Oregon buying out law enforcement. Yeah, okay, well, it was yeah. Well, law enforcement's got a bad rap right now, anyway. Um, they got a rough way to go, and it's not just in Portland. Thank you. Well, thanks, Audrey. So what's really funny is I did that. That was like one of the only sponsored videos I've ever done. Well, I've done some in the past, but I got away from it. And I always said I won't do anything that's not going to help you guys. I'm not going to. I get odd offers for ad sponsored videos for video games. Do any of you guys? Some of you might play video games, but this isn't a video game channel? It's like, why are you asking me this? I don't even deal with that stuff. So I turn people like that down all the time, and I guess you call it leaving a lot of money on the table. But that one, it helps you guys. And so far, I've gotten 3 emails from people that have taken offers. Well, 2 that said they've taken offers, and one's thinking about it from that ad. So that's great. It's helping that website that sponsored me, which is makemymove.com. They're great people, and it helps some of you guys. So that's great. Retirement reviews are great because everyone has lots of money to save up for retirement. Yeah, it's good to do videos on cheap places to retire. What is up, new country guy? Upper Northern California, it's a little bit different than the rest of California. It's not bad. I mean, they do have some areas that might not be great. Redding, some people say it's horrible. I've been to Redding too many times, remember, and I have never had a problem with Redding. I like Redding. So, yeah, Pool Player 21, you're right. They did during a riot, during civil unrest. That was 2 years ago? That happens. Just like I said, read through the lines. You're stuck on that. You're stuck on what you were sold, and that was bad. Not saying it was okay. You still got other groups doing things like that still to this day. Do I think those other groups or here in Portland, they have some camp and that's happening every day? No. It was during some civil unrest. It happened. It was horrible. But that's the boogeyman that you've been fed. Antifa, Antifa, Antifa. Well, thank you, Wick. Rage Shadow. Yeah, I get that one all the time. Stuck on old news. That's what it is. It's stuck on old news. Well, the thing about the Portland riots, I went down there. On the other channel, I have some videos, and I will tell you exactly what I saw. You had the riot over there against the federal building, but you also had a protest. And every single night, I went down there 3 different nights. Every night I was down there, you had the protest that started, let's say, around 7, 8 o'clock, and these people would hold their signs and they'd give speeches, and they were angry about this, angry about that, and then they'd go home. Well, around 9 or 10, the chaos started in front of the federal building, which was there's these two little parks. There's a little park, and then there's federal building. There's another little park right across the street, and then there's some government building. And that's where the government building to the north of the federal building is where they would have the protest. It was two different events. I know it sounds weird, but it was two different events, and it was all encased in this one half-mile square area, I'd say, like 4 city blocks. If you went when I left there every single night, I would drive by this other little area, and I'd see people out on the street having dates, having wine, candle on the table. They're doing sidewalk, dining because of COVID. It wasn't the entire city was engulfed in flames. Matter of fact, when Nick Johnson came up, me and him went to Portland, and I was telling him, no, it wasn't like that. And then the bartender at the bar we were at go, no, dude, we're like 5 blocks away. We could hear it, but it never got up here. And even Nick was saying, dude, the news made it sound like the city was ablaze. It wasn't. It was bad. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm not saying it was not bad or anything like that. It was bad. It sucked, but it wasn't what they made it out to see. All right, this is getting a little too political. I'm tired of talking about that stuff. Oh yeah, I was in the LA riots. That was insane. I was in it. I was with the military at the time. Yeah, he's not a troll. There's a difference between a troll and someone that has a point they want to make, and the point, in my opinion, just isn't on point. Yeah, I mean, my problem is not any political party. I don't have any problem with that. My problem is with w- uh, um the news, and both sides, how we're being fed things to believe things, and I've just had it with them. It's like he's got another one. Mainstream media. Well, Bell, try and be as I try and sift through the nonsense when I'm looking at the news, and I watch all news. And I just think there's always the truth somewhere in the middle from what you're being told. It's like watch two different, leaning news channels and then figure somewhere in the middle there's the truth. Pros and pros and cons about river towns. Flooding's got to be one of the biggest cons. That does happen. No matter where you are in the country, river towns have flooding. Yeah, Debbie, we're going to eventually. Yeah, that's the truth. Local news, which sadly it's kind of in local newspapers are falling by the wayside, especially the newspaper things. But local news is so much better. Yeah, the cable news has become like the National Enquirer. They're just trying to get you to buy into it and, watch their channel more. And I can tell you firsthand, the more shocking I make a video, the more views it's going to get. That's how it is. And that's how it is with news and everything else. My stats are amazing. No, my stats are down this month. This is last 3 years. August was one of my, or I mean, July, which pays me in August, was one of my best months each of the last 3 years. This year could possibly be one of the worst, and a lot of that has to do with what's going on in the economy and everything. Have a great night, pool player 21. Oklahoma Holly is not that bad. They have some, you get down to some of those smaller towns. They're a little backwards, but they're not terrible. I forget. I read something. I think it was during the Clinton administration when they removed some kind of FCC regulation about the news. Um, they had to do everything. There was like rules and regulations for they had to do everything they could to make sure something wasn't misleading or false, and they kind of removed those restrictions. It's too bad. Missouri's nice. Boomer sooner. Yeah, they always tell you something like that. Inflation's only gonna be a couple weeks. Never is. They told us COVID was only gonna be a couple weeks and be gone by summer. It wasn't. That's the difference. Again, the politicians can tell you what they're hoping for and kind of give it to you as, I think this is what's going to happen. Where like a doctor goes, you could probably beat this cancer. When in reality, he's like, no, you've got terminal cancer. They have to tell you the truth. Politicians don't. FCC can't make laws, but they can make policies that you better follow it if you don't want headaches. Would I recommend moving to Washington State or New Hampshire? I would move to Washington State, um, unless you've got a bunch more money. Washington State's kind of more affordable, and they don't have income tax, things like that. New Hampshire's a little expensive, and they go a little heavy on the taxes. Yeah, that French song. That's I remember Ted Kennedy. He was a big proponent of that. It's like the news shouldn't be lying to you, and I'm not saying they absolutely lie to you, but they present things in a way. It's like if I tried to convince someone Detroit was not a bad city, I would say, Detroit doesn't have the worst stats. Well, they don't have the worst, but they have really bad stats. It's like that's how they approach it now. Sadie Lamp, doctors do have to tell you the truth legally. If they don't, they could lose their medical license. Do they 100% of the time? No. There's always that 10% no matter what profession it is. I don't care if you're a pharmacist, a clergyman, a doctor, a cop, you're always going to have that 10% that don't do things right. That's every industry, that's every human being, that's everything you do. But yeah, they could lose their license if they don't tell the truth. YouTube's a pretty good place for news, but again, they don't have the restrictions or they don't have the professional, I don't know what the word I'm trying to say, but they don't have to be truthful either. Seattle or the suburbs? I'd live in the suburbs of Seattle long before I'd live in Seattle itself. But I do like visiting Seattle a lot. Liabilities. There you go. Tell you what, how long we've been doing this, guys? Because I'm getting kind of punchy. I do that when I've been doing this too long. I get a little out there. Damn, I didn't know there was a counter for this. We've had almost 2,000 comments on this video so far, or in the chat. Don't forget Sunday, guys. WTF San Francisco. I have not considered posting on Rumble. I don't get it. And I focus, I've got YouTube. I occasionally post to Instagram. I got a podcast I really want to do, and I have two channels on YouTube and a vlogging channel that I wish I could spend more time on. So I don't have time to put things on Rumble or switch over to Twitch or anything like that. It's not that I don't want to, it's I don't have the time. Nick is pretty funny. I like Nick's sense of humor. He doesn't get as statistically into things as I do. I think that's one of our biggest difference. I think sometimes I use a little too many statistics, and I catch myself because that's interesting to me. Stats, I love stats, and I'm not a math guy, so that's kind of weird. It's really strange. I have a hard time doing math. It's not my strong point, but I could look at statistics of different things over years and see where things are heading very easily. It's weird. Yeah, Twitch would be great for live streaming. I mean, live streaming isn't that great for channels. I mean, it might actually hurt my channel when I live stream, but I know a lot of you guys like it. And I like it too. It's just normally I lose about 50 subscribers when I live stream. Mitchell, thank you for supporting the channel. It is very appreciated, especially on a month like this. Holly, thanks for hanging out with us. Oh yeah, Jennifer, I'm horrible at math. That's why I tell jokes, because I struggle with math. How many hours a week would you say you were doing research on videos? I probably research. I actually have a research assistant, but me personally these days, easily 4 or 5 hours a day. 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week, and then I record videos and then all that, but in all, I work 12-hour days on the regular, more than 12 sometimes. Um, Alex plays, "Why do I focus on the US and not on Europe?" I have more experience with the US, and tell you honest truth, when I make videos about other countries, they don't pay that well. Um, and I've still got a lot of material and a lot of things I wanna do about the United States, and if I do things on Europe and other countries, I make about half the money that I would, and it's not as interesting to me as the United States. So I try to mix it in occasionally. Those videos get a lot of views, but we are talking about the CPM, the clicks per mil. Um, it's about half. Do I think Norway is the best country in the world? I think it's one of the top. It depends on what you're looking for in a country. It's definitely in the top five, I would say. I do have a podcast going on right now. Let me see if I can get the link for that for you real quick. It's just stories from America is what it's called, and I tell you stories about people I've met while I'm traveling. It's on Spotify. If you look up stories from America, it has a nice little picture of a world like the world I use for my logo with a microphone in the front of it. Where's my link thing? Copy URL. Paste. Boom. Should pop up. There you go. That is my podcast. I've only got a few episodes and I've had it for like three. Well, I got like 7 episodes. It's something I really want to get into. Um, I really do. I really want to focus on that sometime. What's the average national crime stat for the US? God, I don't know. I mean, what percentage? Well, probably the best way to look at that is that it's 1 in 12. No, not 1 in 12. 12 people out of every 1,000 will be the victim of a crime every single year, and I think the average is right around there. Alice, thank you very much for supporting the channel. What's a better place to move to, Decatur, Illinois, or Quincy, Illinois? Ooh, I would choose. You know what? Let me just make sure I give you the right stats on that one. One second. Okay, so Quincy has a livability score of 68. It's not terrible. Their crime rate is a little high. It's 55% above the national average. Now, that's not terrible when you consider there's places like Detroit that have crime rates that are 400% above the national average. So that's lower than like Los Angeles's crime. It's not terrible. It's not terrible. Even though it's above the national average, it's not terrible. Now let's go to Decatur, Illinois. Decatur's a little bit worse on the livability. It's 57, and their crime rate is 40% above the national average. Not horrible, but their unemployment sucks, and their housing is gets rated graded an F compared to Quincy. Quincy was graded a D when it came to their real estate. Their unemployment in Quincy is only 4% above the national average. So if you're looking at stat wise, Decatur's a better place to live. And thank you for supporting the channel. I really appreciate that. Decatur really stinks. We got a place out here down near Wilsonville, Dunphy, Oregon. They got a paper mill. If you're there the wrong time, whew, that little town smells horrible. I am doing a New Mexico video. It's not going to be tomorrow. Like I'd said it was going to be. We're going to move that back to Thursday. Tomorrow you're going to get Nevada. Camas has a paper mill too. They have a horrible name for their football team, their high school football team. It's the Paper Makers. North Florida is southern, like Alabama, Georgia. Yeah, North Florida is pretty much it's a southern state. Now you get lower in Florida, it's not so much a southern state, like traditional southern. The Roma Tacoma. We got El Segundo, which is in LA. It's between LAX and the South Bay where I grew up. And they got refineries there and just it's horrible. We call it El Stinko. First chatting. Thanks for great content. How about a silly one best places to survive a apocalypse? Okay, so zombie apocalypse. Believe it or not, I've given this one some thought. If you're going to survive a zombie apocalypse, I would say Colorado Rockies. Somewhere in the Colorado Rockies is your best bet. Zombies got to freeze up during the winters, so you're safe then. So they're frozen. So that's good. But you're also in the mountains, so you can get above everything and see what's going on. And when you're really high in the mountains, it's hard to walk around without making noise. So you could always hear them coming. The south has a lot of trees with a lot of leaves on the ground. And during the wet part of the year, you can't hear anything. So zombies can walk up on you. Yes, I watched a ton of The Walking Dead. I've never checked out Monroe, Oregon. Is it nice? Battleground is a great place. If nothing else, the name, it's really cool. New country guide. Do you have an email? I could drop you a line. Yes, it's world, the number 2, Briggs at gmail.com. And it's if you go down to the description thing of all my videos, it's in there. When will I do a video on Kentucky? I think we'll work on one next week. You guys got to promise to watch it because whenever I do a video on Kentucky, people don't watch it. I like Asheville, North Carolina. It's kind of played out now. It was really popular for a while there, especially the music people and art types. It's mellowed out. It's still pretty fun. Excuse me. But it's not like it was 5, 6 years ago. I have been to every US state. Now I got the hiccups. Safest state for nuclear. Oh, that's a good one. I used to know. Hickory, North Carolina. It's been many years since I've been there, but I liked it. It was kind of cute. Corvallis and Independence. Independence, Missouri. It's where Harry S. Truman's from. Corvallis. It's good to go down there to watch a Beaver game. I was in 12 years, and then 8 years in the National Guard. Favorite place to visit, New Jersey? Um, Philadelphia. All right, I'll tell you what, guys. I am gonna shut this down now because I'm getting tired. Um, who's bald? I'm not bald. I shaved my head. Big difference. Um, but I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Please watch the video on Sunday. I'm really hoping it does well because it's a little bit different from what we do. And normally, when I break from what we normally do here, it kind of fails. And I really want to try this and see if it works. So please watch it. It'll be there Sunday around 11 or noon. All right, everyone. Have a great day. And most importantly, don't forget to be nice to each other. Thanks, everyone.